Hey guys, welcome back to Around the Campfire with AmeriCamp, the ultimate summer camp podcast. I'm Caitlin, and today I am joined with Zara, back again, the dream duo. And this time we're going to talk about being a returner at camp. So I know we already had a chat last time, but if you just want to remind people in case they didn't listen to your podcast, if so, go and listen to it now. But what camp did you go to and how many summers have you done so far?
Yeah, so I went to Camp Tawanda. I started back in 2022. And then I went again last summer, and then I'm going again this summer for my third summer. I just said summer so many times. I just love it.
And what was the main reason that made you want to return to camp?
So honestly, like every year it just gets better and better for me. You know, the energy at camp is just infectious. Like, it's honestly like a drug to me. Like, the chaos of it, the whole atmosphere every day, I just thrive off of it. You know, everyone always says like camp summers are their best summers. So I just kind of think, why don't I just keep, going back? You've obviously got all the people that you connect with there as well, returning to the same camp. You have your campers, obviously, who realistically are the reason that you go to spend the summer with them and to see them thrive. But you've got all of your friends as well that you make. Some of them, obviously, I've got a bunch of friends from over in the UK, and we try and meet up once a month and see each other throughout the year. But I've got friends from America, from genuinely all over the world, that realistically I probably wouldn't see if I didn't go back to camp. So it's always nice to go back and have that time with them each year as well.
So obviously being a first timer, there's loads of new things, but how was the process for you of applying to do AmeriCamp as a returner?
I mean, to be fair, it was super easy. It's obviously with the first time application, you've got to do all the essays, and it's that sort of the most stressful thing is, finding a camp that's right for you and doing all the interviews. As a returner, you don't have to do that. You know where you're going. You can pretty much apply as soon as you, if you get back from camp in, say, September from traveling, you can apply in September to then go back the next year. You can say to the camp, oh, I really want to come back and do that. And realistically, you'll probably know at the end of the summer if they're going to have you back and if that's all good to do. You can have, I think my second summer, I had my flights booked in, I think, December or January to go back to camp because I just knew straight off the bat. So everything was just all sorted really quickly. The most stressful bit was just the DBS, I think. But it's so simple to do for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's so much stress that's taken away from it, knowing the camp that you go into and sort of you've already done the process as well, which is so great. So obviously being a first timer, everything's new. You don't know anything. You don't know anyone at camp. But what was sort of the difference going back for your second year and being a returner? How did it feel different? Did you have different experiences? What was that like?
It is obviously different because you know what to expect. When you're going into it the first time round, everything is new. It's genuinely fresh as in university. You just completely put yourself out there and you want to make as many friends as possible. You want to learn as much as possible, super quickly. And orientation is so chaotic because you're trying to take in all the information that they're telling you, sort of navigate this new place that you're going to be living in for the next however many months that you're there, and make loads of friends and also work out what age group you want to be with. And there's just so much going on, and that is so fun. And genuinely, orientation is the best thing to start the summer off with. But when you go back, obviously you're still there to make friends. You want to meet all the new people, but you're not it's not so much pressure on it because you've done it all before. It definitely feels different because you kind of, I don't know, you sort of walk in and you're okay, I know kind of where I stand. I know what I'm doing. You sort of know the senior staff. If you're returning with the same group of kids, you know that hopefully you'll get put with them again. In my case, I was changing groups, so I wasn't really too fussed about what group I was going with, but all the same, it was still a bit nerve-wracking figuring out kind of what age group I'd go with. Me and my friends all kind of joked about before the summer, going back for our second summer, of if any of us were going to get second year syndrome. And I don't know if other people talk about this, but we all said being a returner counsellor, is anyone going to go back and be a bit big for their boots and kind of because you've done that first summer, are any of us going to go back and be a bit cocky about it? Or yeah, but I don't know, I think we all did a pretty good job of just sort of going back and being yeah, we've been here before, but we're still ready to learn things, we're still ready to make friends. It's obviously the balance of having all my friends from first year and having a bunch of them return for second year. I want to spend all the time with them because it's so exciting. And like, we're experiencing again, we're at camp again, this is so great. But then it's also that balance of, but wait, there's loads of new people here and I need to talk to them because I want to make more friends, but I also want to make sure that they're, you know, comfortable and everything. So yeah, I don't know. I felt a lot more comfortable going into it my second summer. It was super easy to sort of just get back into the swing of things. Like genuinely, I'd not been there for, say, like 10 months. Yeah, 10 months, I suppose, overall. And I walked back onto camp and it was like I'd left about a month ago.
Yeah.
Like nothing had changed.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Well, how was that sort of interacting with the first year staff and trying to make those friendships as well? Like, how was that process as a returner?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much a very chatty, I like to think very friendly and like approachable person. I don't take myself too seriously. Like, I'll throw myself about. I fall over pretty much wherever I walk. I'm a bit like stupid like that. So I think most people, I'd like to think that most people didn't see me as like an unapproachable person. I'd just go and kind of chat to everyone, like as and when I'd sort of like felt it was sort of necessary, I guess. It was really good in like the orientation this year. Like camp really stressed the whole making friends and connecting with everyone. And like at like meal times in the dinner hall, they'd be saying, okay, you've got to go sit with 3 people that you haven't sat with before, because they're trying to split up all of the returner friendships, because you don't want to kind of make like cliques and things like that and have the first year's sort of feeling left out by any means. So, we'd sit like by the hair colour that we had, or by the eye colour, or by like where we were from, or what age we were, or what our birth month was, and things like that. And then you start off by being like, yeah, my birth month's in August too. And then 10 minutes later, you're like, oh my God, I used to play basketball when I was 12 as well. Like, what position did you play? And then, you've got that kind of in for the friendship then. But I just love making friends. So I was very happy with it. I did kind of have to remind myself quite a lot to not, always be with my friends.
Yeah.
Because it is just so, like, you do just get so comfortable and so excited that you are back there and you want to talk to them and be like, oh my God, have you done this yet? Have you done that yet? And all this. But then you need to remember that there's people that have got no clue what's going on. I think as well, being a like group leader this year, I was sort of chatting to people to sort of like scout out counsellors as well. So that was a bit different. Whereas last year group leaders were coming up to me and trying to work out if I would be good in their age group, I was doing that this year. So that was like a fun little way to just sort of chat to people as well, being like, do you want to be with my age group?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think you have to make a conscious effort to speak to new people, especially if you have those friends that you already had from last year. Definitely. I know we sort of already touched upon this a little bit, but what do you think was like the greatest thing about being a returner? What was the best thing about being a returner at Towanda?
One of my favourite sort of experiences of like being a returner, when the buses arrive at camp. So my first summer I was on the like last orientation bus to arrive at camp. So we all get off the bus. It's like 9:00 at night, pitch black. There's cameras everywhere, like filming all of the arrivals, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And I didn't really take in sort of what was happening. This year I got there a week earlier than I did last year, so there was already people at camp, and a lot of them were the friends that I'd made like my first year. So I'm getting off this bus and they're all jumping on me, and I haven't seen them in like 10 months, and that was so like nice, and it was such a warm welcome. And I just sort of like looked around and I was like, oh, I'm home, like I'm back, this is great. Air. Literally breath of fresh air, like you're in the countryside. It was great. But then having those future bus arrivals as well, with even more returners on, and like there was one time when my friend arrived and we're all like chanting her name, and she runs off the bus like a celebrity, and that sort of real kind of like family atmosphere was so nice about it. I think just that really comfortable feeling of knowing where you're at, and like, you're returning for a reason. So as soon as you get back there, it's just genuinely like the best feeling. I blooming love it.
Yeah, definitely. I know we spoke a little bit before about the fact that you are returning again this summer. So what are your sort of expectations for this summer? I know being a second year returner is one thing, but then being third year is going to be a whole other thing, and there'll be so many different things that you will learn and things like that. So what are your sort of expectations for this summer going forward?
If I'm honest, I'm expecting a lot of tears. I'm one of probably the most emotional people. It's a bit ridiculous, to be honest. I'm very passionate about camp. So I know that, when I actually get to camp, I'm going to see like people that I haven't, as I said, like these people that I haven't seen in ages, and I'm going to be like reunited, probably cry at that.
Yeah.
This year I'm actually returning back with the same group of girls again. So, like all of my campers from last year will be back again. And I'll go pick them up on a bus, and I can't wait for that moment. I've not seen them in months.
Oh, that'll be so nice.
It's genuinely like 2 months away now. I'm counting down the days to see them, but and then obviously last day of camp will be awful, but also lovely in certain respects. It just gets better every year, so I'm really just thinking that it's gonna like blast the last 2 summers out of the park. There's always new challenges every year. I mean, my first summer I was with the oldest group of girls who were in the they call it the dorm. So, and then this year I'm going back to be in with my girls will be in that age group again. So it's sort of like a full circle moment of, I started here and I'm finishing here. Last time I was there, I was, just a general counsellor. So I didn't really have the responsibilities that I'll have this year. So although I kind of know how their summer works, being like the oldest and having the certain responsibilities that those girls have, like I've never sort of been leading that and in charge of that. So I'm obviously excited for the challenges that kind of brings. I can't wait, honestly.
Yeah. I think that's also something that people don't realise is if you do keep going back to camp, like you will move up in the ranks. Like you won't just stay a general counsellor forever. Like you'll move up to be like a group leader or like HC or anything like that. So I think that's a really good thing to take is that if you stay at camp and you do become a returner, even if you don't return to the same camp necessarily, you still have those skills and you can sort of make your way up to camp as well, which I think is really good, and it looks really good on your CV as well.
100%. It's also nice as well, like you get a different experience every year, but going sort of up in the ranks and having that like promotion, I guess. You do see more of like the behind the scenes, and you really understand how like camp works. There was so many points last year, even being a group leader for the first time, where I'd sort of sit with like the girls' head counsellors and they'd say certain things. I'd be like, oh, is that why we do that? And is that how this works? And it definitely made me appreciate how difficult it is to run a summer camp. I mean, my first year I was just running around with like deer in the headlights, not having a clue what was going on, just having the best time, and didn't realise that it was such like an operation to be doing everything. So it definitely, I mean, as a returner, even if you're not sort of like promoted massively every year, you do get to understand those sort of inner workings, and you really get an appreciation for what that camp is doing. And even in terms of like your campers, you then get to see them grow each summer. And, I know that my girls, they were 14 and 15 last year. They're going to be 15 and 16 this year. So, they're at that age where they're going to have changed so much in this year. They'll all probably have grown a little bit taller. Like all the boys on the boys side group, I know for a fact are going to have grown massively. They'll all have their growth spurts. They'll look like 5 years older than they did last year. So it's so nice sort of, just kind of watching them grow up and develop into they are teenagers, but
actual humans.
Exactly.
Grown-ups.
All my kids from my first year, they're going to college in September.
Crazy.
And they've got like this Instagram account where they like announce where everyone's going to college. And I'm like, it's only 2 years ago, but it feels so long because I'm like, I was looking after you and you were my campers. And now in September, you're just going to go off to, Indiana or Ohio State or wherever they're going and just be on your own and independent. Like, that's crazy.
It's weird. You feel like you are sort of like a parent to them as well.
Literally.
Like an unofficial parent. And you're seeing them go off to college and it's like, oh my God, like my kids are going off to college.
Fully.
It's strange.
Me and my the group leader that I had in my first summer will text each other being like, have you seen that this one's going to that college and that one's going there? And we're just like proud parents just watching in the background. It's so nice. Like my kids from last year that, I'm going back for this year, they all call me Mima. Because apparently I'm too old to be a mum, so I have to be a grandma, I was a bit fuming about that one, but I'll take it because it's kind of cute.
What would you sort of say to someone who's looking at being a returner at their camp or even at a different camp, but just returning to the summer camp process?
Fully just say do it. If you're on the fence, get off it. There's that whole thing that I can't remember where it was, but I watched this video the other day and it was like, what's in between you right now and then like doing what you want to do, and it's just like you actually doing it in the middle. And it's like, if you're thinking about returning, like the likelihood is that's like because you want to.
It's already in your head somewhere.
Exactly. Like if you're thinking about it, you want to do it. Like you know deep down if you do, and it's obviously there's always logistical things and like timing and can I realistically do that.
Like graduation as well seems to be an issue. Is graduating over the summer.
Yeah, I mean I missed my graduation last year to go
Me
to
too.
camp.
Yeah, me too.
I said straight away I should have graduated in July. Maybe, yeah. I don't even know when it was. I just said no, I'm not going.
No.
And luckily my university do Christmas graduations, so I just did it in December in the cold, wet Manchester weather.
Yeah.
But if it's to do with a graduation, you can always graduate later.
And you can also graduate at camp. Some camps have like graduation ceremonies. I know my second camp IHC did. They had like a day where everyone who was supposed to graduate over the summer all got together at like the fire pit and had like a little unofficial graduation ceremony, which I think is quite cute. So I wouldn't worry too much about graduation.
No. Like you only, I mean, sometimes people are like, oh, you only get one graduation, but it's like they're not, just because you can't go to one, it doesn't mean you're not going to get it. You've just got to delay it a bit. With camp, it's not always going to be an option for you. Like there is sort of, I mean, first timers specifically, there's a bit of an age limit on it. Returners not as much, but like, you know, life does get in the way sometimes. And camp, in most cases, is not always going to be a viable option to go back to and keep doing. So if you can do it now and you can make it work, then go and do it. Like, and it's so much, as we spoke about earlier, way easier to be a returner than a first timer. You know where you're going, you know what the situation is. Even the little things like packing, so much more simpler. Like to be fair, I probably took the same amount of stuff as I did first year, but it was all useful.
Yeah.
Like I actually took my Crocs second summer, which I forgot in my first year. I took way less t-shirts and more like snacks this year.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like traveling afterwards, so much simpler in your second year. Like I spent so much money my first summer. I never even counted it because I just thought I'm not doing that.
You don't want to know.
No. But my second summer, I'd happily count that and like say how much I spent, because you kind of have all those like travel hacks from the first year that you know how to do it cheaper. You can probably plan like what friends you're going to be doing it with if you've got like a group of returners and book it all way in advance. Like you can definitely do it cheaper as a returner, like on a whole, I'd say, the process, because you don't make the silly mistakes that you do in first year.
Yeah.
Like I think I booked like 3 return flights home in first year. I spent a ridiculous amount on flights in first year, and then second year it was like 400 quid. Great.
Yeah. And you don't even have to worry about what your travel plans are after camp, because you know that you'll just sort it out. Like once you get there, you'll find your people and you'll find where they want to go. And like first year, you're like, oh, I don't know like what I'm doing. Like you get stressed about it, things like that. But you realize things like that, like it's not a big deal.
Yeah. All those little stressful things and topics and like moments and like the butterflies that you get. Like there's still going to be stressful moments. It's camp, it's chaos. Like you never know what's going on half of the time, but you've got a bit more of a clue. And you know, like those campers that we spoke about, they're not going to be there forever. Like if you've got a group, I mean, maybe you're blessed with a younger group and then you can go back and say like 4 years time and it'll be their final summer. But if you've got an older group, they're not going to be there forever. So why not go back while they are and like see them through?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do it. If you think about it, do it.
Well, thank you, Zara. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing your experience. It's so great to hear. I know you're going to have the best time again this summer, and I can't wait to hear all about it. And we can have a follow-up episode after the summer just to recap everything that's been going on. But yeah, if you guys have any questions or anything that you would like us to discuss, just pop us a message on Instagram or TikTok, and we can chat about it. Or if you want to be featured on the podcast, just message us and tell us why, and we can get you on. Like, that's great. But yeah, thank you, Zara, and see you guys. Bye.
If you haven't already heard my other podcast, go listen to it.
Oh yeah, listen to Zara's other episode.
Bye.
Bye.